we go to the scariest state in America, Louisiana. The following is a story that was written in the walls of a mansion. It changes to another every time the door opens and closes. You know New Orleans as a city of beauty, music, and life. But beneath its charm lies something darker. The spirits here don't rest easy. I am one of them. A ghost caught in the web of the most wicked soul I ever knew. Madame Delphine Lalaurie. Her name is spoken in fear, but few know the truth of what happened in her house. I do, because I lived and died there. I was brought to her mansion on Royal Street as a boy. She bought me like livestock at the market, her gloved hands inspecting me like I wasn't human. "You'll do nicely," she said with a smile that froze my blood. My mother begged her to take us both, but Delphine only laughed. That was the last time I saw my mother. From that moment on, I belonged to her. We were many. There was Lucille, barely 14, who hummed hymns to calm herself at night. Jerome, who once dared to look Delphine in the eyes and paid with the scars on his back. And Esther, the cook, whose trembling hands prepared the madame's lavish feasts, but never dared touch the food herself. We shared the same fate, but none of us could imagine the horrors that awaited us in her attic, the attic. It was a forbidden place. We only knew what we heard, screams that clawed through the walls, begging for mercy. But no mercy ever came. Those who were sent there didn't return, at least not the same one night. The madame's temper flared. Jerome had dropped a silver tray during a dinner party. The guests laughed nervously, but she didn't. That night, 2 overseers dragged him to the attic. We heard his screams for hours, followed by silence. Days later, the madame paraded him in front of us, his face blank, his eyes void of any humanity. She called him her creation. We called him cursed. Lucille was next. She tried to run. I remember her screaming as they dragged her up the stairs, begging for forgiveness. But there was no forgiveness in that house. Days later, we found her standing in the hallway, her face pale as death, her mouth sewn shut. Her eyes spoke the terror her lips couldn't. She was alive, but something was missing. It was as if the madame had taken her soul. We tried to keep hope alive. Esther whispered prayers at night, calling on the spirits of the ancestors to protect us. But even they couldn't fight the darkness that filled that house. The madame had dabbled in things far beyond human understanding. Dark rituals, ancient chants. Her beauty masked her madness, and her guests were charmed by her grace, never suspecting the atrocities hidden behind her walls. One night, the housekeeper started a fire in the kitchen. It was an accident, or perhaps it wasn't. The flames spread quickly, and we thought it might be our salvation. But as the fire grew, so did the screams. They weren't just ours. They came from the walls, from the floors, from the very foundation of that cursed place. The spirits of those who had suffered before us were crying out. I remember Esther trying to help Lucille escape, but the madame caught them. "They belong to me," she hissed. Esther fought back, but Delphine, she wasn't human anymore. She dragged them both into the attic, and the last I saw of them was the terror in their eyes as the door slammed shut. The fire revealed the truth to the world. They found our bodies, those who didn't make it, who couldn't escape. Some mutilated beyond recognition, others barely more than skeletons. But not all of us were free. Some of us remained bound to the house, to the madame's rituals. We became part of its fabric, our pain woven into its walls, our cries echoing through its halls. And now, they come to see us. Tourists with cameras and curiosity, walking through the rooms where we suffered. They say they feel a cold touch, hear a faint whisper, or see a shadow dart past. That's us. We are still here, watching, waiting, trapped. But the madame, she's still here too. Her laughter echoes at night, and her footsteps creak on the attic stairs. She's watching them, just as she watched us. And one day, perhaps, she'll claim them too. After all,
No one truly leaves the Lalaurie mansion.